Hi there. So firstly, apologies for the disembodied presentation, but foregoing a headshot allows you to see the slides more fully, I think. Okay, so big budget films are regularly manufactured across a number of different sites. While this practice may be motivated by the need for specific, narratively determined backdrops, just as often the move is a means of taking advantage of various competitive labour, infrastructure, or tax affordances. Hundreds of Bollywood, Chinese, and Hollywood productions have now, if partially, been routed through the United Arab Emirates, often without regular viewers even noticing. Such offshoring complies with supply chain principles. The term supply chain derives from the language of logistics, a central pillar of the Emirates' non-oil economy, which has been diversified outwards from its ports and into its creative and knowledge economies. What a supply chain does is coordinate often extraordinarily dispersed organizations, people, activities, information, and resources in order to make and move products as quickly and cheaply as possible. These are long-honed skills within the UAE's logistics sector, exponentially enhanced top-down through infrastructural developments that include dedicated free zones, superlative airports, and lightning-quick freighting. This logistical tenacity reduces the time and bureaucracy regulating the movement in and out of equipment and foreign film crews. Such competitive advantages are matched by the disposition of locally contractable secondary crew members, most long-term expatriate freelancers dwelling within the UAE. These employees do not have the right to remain within the country without sponsorship, rendering them distinctly unlikely to question or disrupt workplace exploitation. The UAE also practices differential salary scales, paying employees what is considered a standard for their home country, something that can significantly cut costs for arriving projects. This is a workforce, then, fully adapted to and with little choice but to be complicit with the lean and just-in-time manufacturing principles, including near-immediate expendability, that attracts supply chain-style organisation to particular locales. Such transnational production now predominates in the UAE. Arriving film vehicles operate through free zones like Dubai's Studio City and Abu Dhabi's 2454, which have been strategically planned from the top down to provide favourable conditions for the global media industries. Not by chance have a large number of global media corporations regionally headquartered here, a development I discuss in greater detail elsewhere. My focus now falls instead on how such spaces are populated by skilled yet usefully disposable migrant media workers, and for this I turn to a concept that anthropologist Iwa Ong variously dubs flexible or graduated citizenship. Ong identifies graduated citizens as a class of people who move fluidly between sites in response to the vacillations of the global market to which they are, quote, biopolitically and spatially attuned. They're still choreographed by and to the advantages of nation states, still at the mercy of borders as they, quote, open doors to new places, translate instructions and values from low to high-end labour markets, and build the institutional bridges necessary for circulating information, capital, goods and people. Their literal fluency in the global languages required for this work coheres with subtler, often draining fluencies in so-called common grounds, cultural reference points, dominant modes of sociality, and attitudes towards work, including how creators frequently forego regular salaries and benefits in order, so the myth goes, to indulge passions and follow their dreams to supposedly higher forms of fulfillment than income security. To stress, such labour amounts to more than being adequately trained in technical skills. It repeatedly involves acquiescence, tolerance, education about difference, and not in a neutral or multivalent fashion, but according to economic hierarchies. The UAE's creative economy takes full advantage of such biopolitics and, more so, dedicates considerable energies to crafting such employee subjectivities through the education policy that shapes their training. Across the country as a whole, much of this mission has been conferred to franchises of or universities accredited by overseas English medium universities, largely cited in their own economic free zones, managed by the same sovereign company who presides over the media ones. Collectively, they bestow the UAE with the largest number of foreign branch campuses of any country in the world, with the Abu Dhabi government unusually picking up the bill for NYU's branch here. Sites like NYU Abu Dhabi refine, quote, world citizens, attuned, I argue, to the diversity, flexibility, and compliance required by supply chain operations. Media workers whom I've interviewed for this project repeatedly note how their typically liberal arts educations are all but essential to their roles in gelling transitory, multi-sited, transnational, or offshored film. They cannot afford to be snarl up smooth operation by being unfamiliar with foreign working norms, cultural references, technical languages, or even off-duty modes of socialization, where drinking alcohol, say, might enhance camaraderie. All such practices are trialled in spaces like branch campuses. Going against the grain of local educational traditions, these campuses trumpet their liberal arts approach, of which Gayatri Spivak contends, quote, it's no secret that it is determined by the demands of contemporary transnational capitalisms. The liberal arts ethos fosters individuals that stand coherently for themselves and on their own 2 feet. It favours capacities to adapt, to position oneself as a unique self, situationally, and with creativity and criticality to the fore. This approach more efficaciously prepares students, I would assert, for the vicissitudes of the unknown multiplicity of potential offshored or transnational projects to which future workers might effectively contribute, and to market fluctuations. The resulting can-do confidence neatly affiliates with the entrepreneurship, self-management, and self-reliance that have become systemic to the media economy, which are already bedded down in the support for freelancers in the Emirates media free zones, and which emerged from the latest economic policy, like the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030, which desires to coax a less dependent workforce. The implications of aiming to spawn a more enduringly robust workforce through an expansion of both these various knowledge economies is something I extrapolate in greater detail in the written paper I've provided, and which I greatly look forward to discussing with you further when we meet. Thank you.